In exactly 52 days, I'm going to be flying to Valencia in Spain to attempt my first sub 3 hour marathon. And the question I'm going to be answering in this video is, am I going to be able to do that after what has been a less than ideal training block? So, simply put, the past 5 weeks of training for the Valencia Marathon have been a little bit of a bumpy ride. The thing that set this bumpy ride off on its journey was a little bit of an issue that I had with my Achilles. If you have been following the channel, you would have seen my recent video. It was a race recap of the Dublin Half, and things went down pretty well. I performed really well, pulled up okay after, had a little bit of an issue with the Achilles, but long story short, it was a successful race. Until what, you may ask? Until the Achilles started to put its hand up and say, don't forget about me. And so what this meant was that for the week after the Dublin Half, for the entire week, I took it pretty easy on the training. We got out, we got some Ks in, and things were looking pretty good. Until, I say it again, until what, you may ask? Until I got sick the next week. I spent a lot of time around my niece and my nephew, and there were some birthdays on, some family events like that, and yeah, I caught one of the many illnesses that 3-year-olds get when they are young, and yeah, there was no avoiding this, but unfortunately this knocked me a little bit. Probably didn't come at a great time given that I had just had the issue with the Achilles, just had a little bit of a deload week, and then kind of had to take another easier week after that. But in my opinion, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, I was able to get back to pretty regular training the week after that. So that kind of brings us then into the month of October. Now, October got off to a pretty good start training wise, but one of the big things that made the start of the month a little bit more difficult was a big offer that I put on and work with my coaching. That's what I do, that's what my day job is, and the reality is I'm my own boss, I'm my own manager, and I have to be the one who, you know, looks after myself and makes sure that I'm doing all the work. So this sometimes does mean longer working days, up a little bit earlier, higher stress. That's fine, that comes with the territory, but that of course does have a little bit of a knock-on effect on your training. But for me, a big part of it is making sure that I'm fueling correctly, recovering as best as I can, and just playing it as smart as possible. One of the biggest things I've noticed since that Achilles issue, I have to keep on top of the rehab work with this issue that I have, okay? So what keeps happening, there's almost kind of a little bit of an ebb and flow to it. Throughout my easy days, so I have 2 harder days on Wednesdays and Saturdays in this block, and on those days the Achilles will just lightly flare up, ever so slightly, but the sort of antidote to this, the silver bullet, if you will, that's what my physio Brendan referred to it as, is heavy isometric work. So I've been absolutely smashing my isometric work, and luckily, or maybe not so luckily because I have been putting in the work, the past couple of weeks now have been some super weeks of training. I've got work back under control, I'm not sick anymore, we're in a good spot, and hence why I'm able to find the time now to put up a YouTube video. This is certainly not my full-time job, and respect to anyone who does this alongside a full-time job, because it's harder than it looks, okay? That brings us up to speed in terms of where we are at now, into the middle to kind of back end of October, and as of the day of recording this video, I've got about 7 weeks until race day. So what does that really mean? That means we've got about 5 weeks of work left, 2 weeks of a taper, and then it's time to let fly on the streets of Valencia. And the big question, the one that I asked at the start of the video and will be asking myself and have been asking myself over the past few weeks and will continue to do over the next few weeks, is, am I in shape and on the right path to run a sub 3 hour marathon? Now, of course, we're going to find out the answer to that question, the true answer, in a few weeks time when we fly over to Spain. I'm really looking forward to it. Between now and then, the only thing I can do is to try and do my best in terms of my training, nutrition, recovery, try and nail everything as best as we can and enjoy the next few weeks of training to the full extent. So that is it. That is the update in terms of what's been going on over the past few weeks in the lead up to this race, the sub 3 hour attempt. Of course, there is a part of me that, you know, feels maybe a little bit hard done by. You can easily fall into feeling sorry for yourself, and in my opinion, it's always worth a better story for yourself when you step up to the start line and you've had these different obstacles that you've overcome through the training block. Even, to be honest, at the time we're recording this right now here today, I actually have a little tiny dose of food poisoning from a meal out that I had last night. So there's just no two ways about it. This has been a bumpy ride, but this is the update. This is where we're at. You gotta play the hand you've been dealt, I suppose, don't you? Thank you very, very much for watching this video. Really appreciate it. Been getting some nice comments on Instagram and in real life outside of all this social media stuff about the YouTube videos. So yeah, really cool. And looking forward to seeing how the next few weeks go. I'm definitely going to do a video on my nutrition, so stay tuned for that. Thanks very much for watching. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to see how the rest of this journey goes. And otherwise, one final note, one final little thought actually. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine a few weeks ago and it has really stuck with me ever since. What came up was I said to him how back when he and I were in college, we did the same course together in college. I was saying to him how, you know, those were the days when, you know, we had these jobs. We worked in like a local supermarket here. We both like drove around our little Volkswagen Golfs, and yeah, just a good time in our lives in general. And I said to him like, oh, those are the days. And almost at the exact same time, the two of us said, well, these are also the days. And I can pretty much guarantee that a future me, whether that's next month, whether it's a little while after the race next year, or in 10 or 20 years, I'm going to look back on this time in my life, all the training that I'm doing, trying to scale and build my coaching business, the life that I have at the moment. I certainly think that I live a very privileged life, and I'm really enjoying the days and the weeks and the months and the years at the moment. Just come back from living in Australia. I was living in Copenhagen before that. It's been a really cool few years, and definitely in my head, something that I maybe might kind of make a little bit of a motto here for the channel, because it's definitely something that I've stuck with in my mind over the past few weeks since that conversation, is that these are the days. These are definitely the days. I mentioned this to another friend of mine this week, and he said, you know what, I wasn't maybe having the best day, or I can't remember exactly what he said. He said that was exactly what I needed to hear, that these are the days. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, and remember, these are the days.